So we're officially in our first episode ever of the Still Loading podcast. So if you guys are new here, you guys haven't listened to anything, this is episode 1 technically. But if you guys are interested in learning about me and Alex a little bit more, we do have a nice to meet you episode that doesn't have video. There's no clips or anything really of that, but it should be live right before this one. So if you're interested in learning a bit about us, there is that episode. First episode, we have a few things we're going to talk about, starting probably with the Lego situation that everybody's very excited about, that I'll let Alex talk about in just a second. And then the Summer Game Fest that just happened the day before. Was it yesterday? The day before yesterday? And some of the games that we were excited to see on there. Of course, there's not enough time to go through every game. And to be completely honest, I don't care to go through every game. Not every single one of those games were my type of game anyway. So I picked out some of the ones that I was excited about that looked interesting to me. I would urge you to go look at it yourself if you're interested. There was like Summer Game Fest, there was the cozy one, or there's oh my god, there was like 4 or 5 of them I think that went in. There's like a women's one. There was so many of them that were happening.
Is this like the new E3? Because I remember like E3 kind of died, and now it's June, and it's a big festival announcing games. So I'm like, is that basically what this is? Except I saw pictures of Jeff Keighley, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess there's gonna be a bunch of Gillette ads, but I
really
watch
don't
it.
know. I just happened to like come across it, and I heard like a few people like on Twitter like whisperings of like people talking about it, and I was like, what is this? And I googled it, and I was like, oh, holy shit, there's so much going on. And so I just went on YouTube and like literally found where it was like skipped through, where you could like go and like hover over each one, and it would like be like this game, and just kind of like pieced through all of it myself.
Right. I basically have shut my brain off from new game announcements since Nintendo's kind of just been like, hey, what you see is what you getting for the Switch. So I'm like, I'm waiting for whatever's next. So
yeah, I agree. But love, if you wanted to, or Alex, listen guys, if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of time and history behind me and Alex, and there's Twitch
go
name,
way
and
back.
for 2 years I've been calling this man Lup, and now I'm trying to switch my mind over to Alex. It's kind of hard. But if you want to go ahead and talk about some Legos.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay. So I think like 30 people sent this to me the day that it got announced. Like everyone knows that right now. So a little bit of context. My wife and I, we build Legos on date nights recently. That's been like our thing every night. We like sit down for like an hour, turn on like a TV show. Like we just finished Fallout, and we build Legos. She has like her little flowers.
Do you guys do separate ones? Like you do
Yeah,
one and she does. Okay, I was gonna say, because one time Daniel and we also have some back here.
yeah.
This is the set from Friends, and we did it together. And I was like, I'll never do that again. It's like he wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it, and he was like, well, let me do these ones. And I was like, let me help. Like, please. So never again.
There's an app for that. Lego has an app called Build Together, and you can like, yeah, it'll divvy up I haven't used it, but it'll like divvy up the instructions. So like you have your own task, and you're like, sharing. So we got.
Oh, well, that makes things interesting. I had no idea about that.
Yeah. So we're big Lego nerds that do that on date night, and also board games, if you can't tell from my background. And we also are a dink, double income, no kids. So we got money. And we actually just bought the Lego Rivendell set, and we're going to build that one together. That'll be our first like foray into building as a couple. But then earlier, like a week ago, I saw leaks for this like 6 months ago. So when it got announced, I was like, yeah, I knew about that.
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how Lego operates, right? But there's been leaks, if you knew where to look, all over the Reddit. They announced the Great Deku Tree 2-in-1. It's set number 77092. It has 2,500 pieces, and it's like 400 Canadian dollars, and I think it's like 300 American. It's got some money. It costs money, but it's kind of neat because it's both the Great Deku Tree from Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild. My I have mixed feelings about this.
I love
Mainly,
it. I just don't
I
like the price.
I well, that's the thing. I'm like, for what I'm paying, I'm getting two sets that I think each would be cost about like half. Like I would be willing to
That's
pay
true. Yeah.
150 for just the Great Deku Tree from, the Ocarina of Time, or just the Great Deku Tree from Breath of the Wild.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of like, and we'll see this. We're going to talk about the future of like Legend of Zelda and Lego, but like I'm like, I kind of just wish they made a decision about which one they're going to do first,
Mm-hmm.
because they have like for instance, behind me there's the Coruscant Guard gunship. There's a million gunships out there in Lego. They just did different gunships. They could have
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
had different Deku trees that they released over the next few years,
And
and I
people
would
would
have been
still be
happy with that.
interested in it. Yeah.
And for the price, I look at other sets that cost less money or more money in even like some of the more expensive lines, like Star Wars.
Oh,
You get a better bang for your buck. Like,
how
this isn't
much is
that
like the
great.
Falcon? Like
Oh, you don't even look. Don't
yeah,
look.
I was gonna try to compare something that we've had our eyes on, but like the Falcon, I can't. I remember looking at it, I think once and being like, again, I can't pull myself to pay that much money for a Lego set.
the
You
way
know,
we
like
the way we break it down is like, okay, how many dates would this, like, date nights would this cost me to build, right?
Oh,
So
that's smart. Yeah, yeah.
if I buy a $200 set, I probably, if I like take my time and just piece it out over 2 or 3 hour dates,
Mhm.
I'll probably get like 3 4 dates from that. And I'm like, okay, well then that's like
Versus going to dinner and
going to dinner and a
having a
movie.
drink. Yeah.
That's $50 right there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of how we justify it. Also, you know, I'm in tech and my wife's a pharmacist, and we're just not,
Pretty okay.
we're doing okay. But like, the tie interceptor, the UCS tie interceptor is like $300, and it's about, two, like, all like 2,000 pieces, and costs less money. And I probably would enjoy looking at that on a shelf more than I would
Mhm.
the Deku Tree. And I think the price is kind of inflated because it's Legend of
It's
Zelda,
it's
which I
it's all
love.
yeah, it's Nintendo, it's Zelda, it's all the things, and it's also the first. I mean, is there other Nintendo
Yeah, they had a
Legos?
yeah. So they started Mario Legos like I think 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, 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 okay,
So
that would make sense. I was gonna say, but it's definitely the first one of Zelda, which also draws in a ton of interest, including me.
yeah, and I'm excited for it. And let's face it, I'll probably get it. I won't be happy about the price, but I'll probably get it. But the exciting thing is, if you look on the Lego site, Lego The Legend of Zelda now is its own category,
So there
which
must
should
be more coming.
hopefully, hopefully. And it's nice because like I felt like the Super Mario ones very much felt like they were like aimed at kids, whereas this Zelda set feels a little bit more aimed at like adults who grew up playing Zelda.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So I'm like, oh, like, what else could they do with the theme?
Yeah.
And I posted that prompt in our Discord chat, and like I wrote down a few. So I have a few ideas for where I think they should take it.
I think
So, oh, go ahead.
no, no, no. I love it because I to back up just a little bit of like I think at some point the money I will have to fork it out because I'm also gonna want it so bad. Like I would be happy to move. My husband is the one who collects more of these pops than I do. Like I have a
Yeah.
few that I like, but and we have more up like beyond me. But I would be happy to. He might not be happy to, but I'd be happy to take down some of the stuff to put a Deku tree back there.
Yeah.
I think I keep on telling myself, I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna do is over the next few months, I'm gonna just, rally my way into a few extra hours. And every time I work extra hours, just chuck it in the bank out. And then one day I'm just gonna be like, there's all my money. I don't feel like I'm spending $300 all at once for this
Yeah.
thing. And then that's gonna be like, I bet that will end up being my project. He has the Marvel Infinity Gauntlet that I got him for Christmas like 2 years ago.
Mm,
We still haven't built it. And I'm like, we need to because again, it would go up
yeah.
here very well.
It'd look great.
There's so many things, but I am interested in hearing what other ones you would like to see from Zelda. There was a few that popped in my head, but I'll let you go ahead. I want to
Okay.
hear yours first.
So I have it categorized into two different groups. All
Oh
right.
dear. I love this.
So, the first one is like kind of like objects or like just more contained icons from
Hmm.
Zelda. Like I think like a master sword in the pedestal, like
Dude,
build that up. I think that would look cool.
it would also be just so easy and fun to do.
Yeah. And like so one kind of set that seems to be doing really well for Lego right now are like botanicals and like plants and
Uh-huh.
stuff, right? All the girly pops love making their bouquets of flowers.
I want one so
Um,
bad.
my wife, I think, has made almost every single thing of flowers at this point. So I thought, like, what about the Korok? Like, you make a little Korok with the leaf mask, and
Oh
like,
my god.
it would be super cute. And because it's my favorite game in the series, the Majora's Mask, I think just a wall mount Majora's Mask, I think could
Would
look
be
really
so
cool.
dope. Yep, I agree.
It would be really hard to do because it's so like round and sloped, and like
Uh-huh.
those shapes are kind of hard for the Lego system. But
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's some smart people over in Europe that could figure that out. Um, and then the second kind of category was more like locations and scenes and like places in games that I think would be really cool for like a play set or a model for display.
That's where my
So
mind went. When you said it, I started thinking of,
yeah,
like, places or, like, big scenes that I felt like could be really fun to rebuild, like the Deku Tree, like, where are
yeah,
these situations that we see a lot in Zelda, that could be rebuilt and have, like, your own little, like, set situation.
yeah. So I that's what would excite me more. But the first one I thought of was Windfall Island from Wind Waker. I think you could have like all the
Oh!
fun little shops and like the
Uh-huh.
school and like it's a very interesting shape.
Yeah.
Um, I thought Clocktown from Majora's Mask because
That
it's
was
my
my
favorite game.
first one. That was the first thing I
Really?
thought of. Yep. I was like, Clocktown would be so cool because I think kinda like you said, there's such smart people of like when it comes to like building things. And I've seen Legos that like you can
Mhm.
make them move and you can turn them and like having like a clock that moves and like they have like the ball at the top that like spins or whatever. Like there's
Have
so
Skull
many
Kid standing up
options.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like have like, I don't know, they have again, there's so many crazy things. Like having it to the ability to like make the moon and like there's just so many pieces that could go into that one that was the first thing that I thought of too.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be dope. I think like Beatles like ship, like the shop that goes around in
Oh,
Wind
uh-huh,
Waker
uh-huh.
and Phantom Hourglass. I thought that would be like kind of fun to just like have a Beetle shop.
Yeah.
I
There's a
thought
lot of Beetle
Sky,
fans too. There's a
yeah,
lot of people who love Beetle.
yeah. I thought Skyloft would be a fun one from
Uh-huh.
Skyward Sword. Like have like the tent, it's very colorful and like again, it's kind of like its own contained little islands.
Yeah.
Um, and then there are two that I think they'll probably do, but I'm like, I think we're gonna run into the same issue that you're gonna get with the Deku Tree of like which version do you do? So I was
Mhm.
thinking like Kakariko Village, but like which Kakariko Village do you do? Like how I don't
What?
even know how you would do like Breath of the Wild or A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time as like two in ones, right? Because they're just so
Mhm.
different.
Yeah. I think Ocarina of Time, Kakariko Village would be kind of easier because you or like have it broken into like sets almost where you could have like this shop and this
Yeah.
shop and this shop and then you could put it with like your Deku Tree kind of situation, whereas like yeah, I feel like if they were gonna do another one for or if they're gonna do one for like Breath of the Wild or something, like I think the tents where you pick up like your horse, you can find like Beetle. I think
Oh
those
yeah,
would be
yeah.
really, really cool. I think the tent situation might be a little funky. Again, like somebody smarter than me would have to figure out how to like actually come up with that. But I
I
think
actually
that would be really, really cool.
I actually think that there was a so Lego has like Lego ideas where it's like fan submitted
Uh-huh.
Lego set ideas, and if they get popular enough on the site, they'll turn them into actual sets. And I think there was like a stable from Breath of the Wild, like that someone submitted, and it looked pretty cool.
Back
It's doable.
I think yeah, like I said, there's people smarter. I don't know how y'all figured that out. That's a lot of big brain that I don't have. But back
Yeah.
to also because I remember thinking about this last night because I was laying in bed being like, oh, Legos and stuff. On Majora's Mask in Clocktown, I was thinking about it. Oh, I was like, how cool would it be to be able to build the Happy Sales Mask Man? And like,
Mhm.
because they make like little heads, for Legos. I'm like, there's got to be an easy way to make masks. And I don't know how many people have seen it or know about it. And I feel like most probably diehard Zelda fans have probably seen it. That on him, he has Mario's mask on the
Yeah,
backside of him. Like, I'm like, how funny would that be as like a little like teaser of your own, like having
yeah.
known Zelda and Mario in the game, you pull out like Mario's mask to snap onto the back of his backpack, like you have all these cool little masks. I mean, I think it would be pretty neat to be able to pick and put them all on there as you go too.
Oh yeah, and that would make like kind of just customizing the minifigures like really
Mhm.
really fun to do.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah. Um, and the last one that I have that I also think is like okay, which version do you do is like Hyrule Castle slash Hyrule Castle Town, because there's like just so many iconic uh
Good
versions
ones.
of that location. Like which one do you go with, right?
Oh, yeah, because you think of, like, Ocarina of Time and, like I think Ocarina
Twilight
of Time would
Princess.
be easiest because you think of the camera in Ocarina of Time, like, how much you really
Mhm.
get to see. It'd be easy to just build the fountain and everything that you could kinda, like, pivot around
Yeah.
until you were, like obviously, if you went down, like, a back alley, it would change the camera view, but, like, things like Breath of the Wild, it's so much like it's a bit like which you don't really get to see it 'cause it's all broken, but it's so much vaster and like the
Yeah.
camera of you looking more like behind Link is so different that I feel like
Yeah.
it'd be harder to try to like figure out like, okay, if we put this here and this here, like it starts to become like more of a floor model than something you could put in a shelf.
And I feel like with the Ocarina of Time Hyrule Castle as well, you would get a lot of really cool little like, you remember that where you're sneaking past the guards going in there, you could have like
Oh,
little
yeah.
like
The
the
little
little
leaves
obstacle
too,
course.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
That
that'd be
would be
fun.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or, like, you could again, like, the idea of being able to build onto these things of, like, okay, then add, like, the courtyard where you meet Zelda
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, I think there really is so much, like, vastness that you could make into the Zelda universe. Like, having all of those, oh, my room would be Lego Zelda, I think, because that would it's the first I've always been interested in the Lego world. Like I said, we have a few that we've built that I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." But seeing the Zelda one, I was like, "Oh, this is a game changer." Like this
Yeah.
is you'll catch me considering the $300 for it.
It's a slippery slope, Lizzie. I got drawn in because of this Horizon tall neck Lego. And I was like,
Ah.
and that's what got me back into because I played with Legos as a kid, but
Uh-huh, so did
being an
I.
adult enjoyer of Legos was that set right there was what got
That's
me.
so cool. What was our first I think the first one we ever bought was the Friends set.
Yeah,
We did that one together, and then we have another one and one that's still in a box that needs to be done, and then I'm hoping then to convince my husband to let me spend the $300. But yeah, if you guys have any other ones that you think would be good for Zelda, let us know because I'm curious to see which if there's anything that we're missing. I feel like
mhm,
Alex and I are pretty good Zelda people. We know our Zelda, but I'm curious to see if anybody disagrees or agrees or has any other ideas or opinions about some of these. Speaking of Horizon, though, so I'm going to kind of pivot over to the Summer Game Fest. And like I said, it was like a huge, basically, showing of games, new games that are coming, all kinds of things. Um, One of the very first things that I saw on there is that Horizon is making their own Lego game, which
that's
I
wild.
am very, very interested in because like Horizon is very like not kid friendly exactly. Like and I think Lego and I'm like, okay, you think of like Marvel Legos, like their way of introducing like kids into being able to play these games where like Horizon was very intense. Like that game put me through the ringer at some points. And it looks like it's not just going to be fighting. Like there is like pieces of this the preview where it's like you're building these shops and like maybe making their own little towns and stuff. So I'm very interested of how they're what this is exactly going to be.
Yeah, I I'm excited for it. I actually just recently replayed like the Lego Star Wars games, and I was
Mhm.
like, seeing that, I'm very excited for it. It made me think like, oh, like kind of what we talked about in our intro episode, where we need to play Forbidden West before this
Yeah.
comes out. So then I'll kind of be up to any kind of references or jokes that they make in the game. But like,
And oh, sorry, it's also
they
coming
even
to
like,
Switch.
oh, it's coming to Switch. That's
Well,
interesting.
Lego Horizon's coming
Horizon,
to
yeah,
Switch.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting because I thought
Yeah.
that was a Sony game.
I think this is going to be different because it's like, I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, they had mentioned it, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they mentioned that it will also be coming to Switch.
Do we know when it's coming out?
I did not hear it.
Okay.
I don't have it. I don't have that written down, so I don't know if they had a date yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what it'll be, because it kind of looked like it had like some like yeah, like you said, some like base building elements to it, but they were also in a cauldron, and they fought a Thunderjaw like 4 different times, and I'm like, I wonder what their next Horizon Lego set will be.
Yeah. Like the possibilities are actually endless there, because then all of a sudden you've already seen it all built as Legos. Now it's just like, okay, here you can actually make it yourself.
Oh yeah, and if you go on Rebrickable, there's like people that just sell like, here are instructions on how to make like a sawtooth or what have you on.
That's again big brain. My God, I can't imagine.
No, I just put the things where they told me to put it, and that's it.
Yeah, literally, and then still somehow fuck it up. The next one that I was really excited about was one called Cuff Bust. So I am a big enjoyer of being able to play games with my friends. The majority of my time at night is on Discord, hanging out with friends, playing games. I'm a big Fortnite loser. Fortnite and Party Animals, which I'll get to in a little bit too, because they also debuted some stuff for there. But this one looked very, very fun, because it looks like you are in jail trying to get out as these little like minions. To me, it looked like a mashup between like Party Animals and like Among Us.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't really get a whole feel for it, but you are definitely working together as these little guys, and you're trying to get out. But it looks like you can take over like cameras, and like there's one little guy who had like a spoon and was beating the shit out of a security guard with it. So I'm always just down for games that I can play with friends and have a good time. And that's very much what it looked like. Was, hey, I think it said you could play with up to like 12 or something people. Like there's a wild amount of people that you could play with. But you're basically busting out of jail, and I'm assuming it's just like a one that you can play over and over and over and do different things and find different ways to escape. So
well, I'm looking forward to it. I probably will, like, if the folks are playing it, I'll try to get in on it, in an evening Discord session where I come in and I'm quiet for an hour and leave.
Hang out for a little bit and then off you go. I wasn't an Among Us fan. I can't do the lying, and I couldn't keep up. People would be like, "Where were you?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what I ate for breakfast this morning. I don't know where I was, guys. I don't know anything about this map. So as long as it's not too much like Among Us, I would be okay. But again, that was just my 2 cents, as I felt like they seemed kind of similar.
I enjoyed Among Us for a little bit, but
I think I enjoyed watching it more than actually playing it.
I think the game that I probably played the most of that's like feels kind of like this is a game called Ultimate Chicken Horse. Have you ever played
I've
Ultimate
never heard
Chicken
of that.
Horse?
No.
You got to try it. So basically,
Really?
it's a platformer where you're these like goofy little animals, and then every you go through these levels and you're constantly dying, but every time you can add a new piece to the level to like add a new element to to the platforming, so the level's constantly changing. It's wild.
Wait, maybe I do know what you're talking about. And I'm trying to remember if I just watched people play it or if I actually tried it.
You probably saw me and Eli and Andrew play it once.
Yes, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I was like, I definitely feel like once you started explaining it, then I was like, okay, maybe I do remember this. And I need to file that, because like I said, we play a lot of silly games at the end of the night, me and some pals. So maybe that will be one that I'll have to circle back to.
I feel like every time I hop into Discord, this is no shade. It's just like, y'all are always playing Fortnite, and I'm like, I am so.
You can listen, just come play Fortnite. Now's
I
not the
don't know
season.
about that, boss.
That is a whole nother conversation for another time because they have yeah, Fortnite fucked up right now. It is a hot mess. But anyways, next one on my list is okay. I've never played a Star Wars game. Okay, I love Star Wars. Like we have a lot of Star Wars stuff. Like you guys can't tell, but there's a
Your whole
like
background is Star
I
Wars.
know, I know, I know. I love Star Wars movies. I've just never played any of the Star Wars games.
Why not?
I don't know. I've been playing Fortnite. um, but they are coming out with a new Star Wars game, and it's called Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah, Star Wars
Outlaws,
Outlaws.
yeah.
It is the first open game Star Wars game, to my understanding, which looked really really cool. And the idea right now is to have this episode up on what is today, June 9th.
June
And if
9th.
it does go out today, tomorrow, you guys will get to see a big gameplay of Star Wars Outlaws. So if you are interested, you want to see more of it, it should be out tomorrow. Which I also am going to be interested in looking at because, like I said, this one piqued my interest. This one really made me go, okay, maybe I'll go and play some other ones because I'll want to play this one.
Lizzy,
Yeah.
listen, you got it. There's a few that you should try. I feel like you should at least try the Lego Star Wars because I think you'll find it like goofy little like spoofs of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then like if you want something a little bit more serious and like stand alone, like I'm playing through Jedi Fallen Order right now and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. It's not like too difficult. There's like one or two boss fights, but you can turn down the difficulty on the game to like story mode or whatever. And
Right.
then you don't like all the
Hey,
like
hey, hey.
Soulsborne
Listen,
elements of it.
I can play a video game. Okay, my
All
husband
right,
tried to
turn
tell
it
me
on
the other
hard.
day my husband tried to tell me the other day that the only reason I could play Fortnite is because 'cause I'm not good enough to play other ones. Now he was let me just preface by saying it was a joke, but it
It was
wasn't a
a joke.
joke. It was
Sure.
a joke, but it wasn't a
I'm
joke.
not
I was like,
I
"Okay, listen here, Fortnite's the only thing I have." I never
I
played FPS games growing up.
and that's fine. I'm just saying that like Jedi Fallen Order, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's like the Dark Souls of Star Wars. I'm like, it's really not. But
Mhm. It is nice
you
that you switch it though.
you can switch it off. Like yeah.
My first time playing Horizon, I would get to bosses and I would have to switch it down. Like I would
Yeah.
play like on like I don't know, normal or like medium, and then I would get to bosses and I'd be like, all right, we gotta go easy because I'm getting my ass whooped here, guys.
Yeah.
But it did look very, very fun and it did spark my interest and make me go, okay, maybe I should go play some of the other ones.
You should.
Yeah. But on the topic of, like I said, I play a lot of games with a lot of friends and stuff.
Mm.
I've been playing Party Animals since it dropped last year, I think it was, or maybe the year before. I can't remember exactly. I had a friend who was playing it. I watched it on stream. I laughed my ass off and went, I need this game now. Started playing and was like, this is possibly the funniest game I think I've ever played, which to my understanding, it is a lot like Beast Gang Beast. I don't know what there's another one that looks, I guess, just a lot like it. But if you haven't played Party Animals, you like to play with friends, I highly suggest it. There's like a plethora of these characters that are little animals that you could play, and it's very like ragdoll style where you're just absolutely just throwing punches. But they showed a clip of it on the Summerfest, and it just looked like there's going to be a lot of new updates where you're going to get like superpowers. I played a little bit last night with one of the updates where you kind of have like a battle pass almost situation and you don't pay for it, but you do have to like you have tasks that you do that gets you new characters and new pieces.
Mhm.
But it is very very funny and you're playing against people you can play by yourself, but I find it a little bit more fun when you're playing with like you can play up to like 4 people, and then after that you have to put yourself like in like a private lobby kind of situation, but then after that you
Right.
can play with like 20. I think it's like wild how many people you can get in there. um but it just looks like we're gonna get a lot of updates, which is exciting because I don't think it's a game that's talked about enough because it really is one of the funniest things I've ever played with a group of people. I absolutely love it.
I've definitely watched you playing that before, like, in Discord. Just you're just a goose, like throwing people around, trying to knock them off. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many different game modes, and what I saw the other day was it looks like almost like they're adding like Uno to it,
Oh,
or
cool.
like some kind of card game where like maybe you're playing cards and you're beating the shit out of people, which could be great or horrible for me because Alex and I have played Uno online before, and it got heated so quickly because I am really competitive, like both of us are,
Yeah.
and it just turns into me yelling at people. So I'm excited and nervous because once you start getting that competitive side out of me, I'm screaming at you all of a sudden, and people are like, "We're not friends anymore, are we?" I'm like, "No, no, no, we're good. Don't take it too seriously."
I feel like that's just, how you show that you are enjoying your time with people
Is
by,
yelling.
telling them how much you hate them,
That's true. It's true. It's true. Um,
if Lizzie's not threatening with violence, that's when you should be scared, really.
that's when you know that it's like surface level
Yeah.
friendship. It's like when all of a sudden I'm like, "I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." You're like,
There we
"Oh,
go.
I'm touched."
I didn't know you cared that
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. So like I said, there was the Summer Game Fest, which I mean, it covered all kinds of stuff. There was
Yeah.
also a more like cozy vibed one. There was a lot of crossover between the two of them. So the next two ones that I'm going to talk about were more on like the farming sim, like cozy feeling for me at least. First one being it's called Wonder Stop.
Mm,
I'm very, very interested in this game because, to my understanding from watching it, this girl was meant to originally go to like some kind of war, some kind of fighting. They didn't allow her in, so now she's running a tea shop. So this looked really interesting just because I'm a Stardew Valley fan. Coral Island, I love all of those like farming kind of sim games. So I was like, oh, it was really cute. I liked the graphics. The music seemed very like Zelda esque. It was really, really beautiful. So you're planting things, you're making tea, you're working with this tea owner. But then I thought it was really interesting because at the end, she's like, "But I'm happy." Because she was like, "This is actually kind of nice. I don't have to fight." And she's like, "I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy." And then she's getting angry though. And then all of a sudden, like you can see there's like something, some kind of like internal like mind fight going on, and it almost like erupts in a way before like the tea owner is like, "Hey, are you okay?" And so I think there's going to be a twist in there. So I'm it did actually like it did a good job of like bringing me in as like a cozy like game,
right.
but then there was a twist at the end that I went, "Hold on, wait a second. I kind of wanted to know what was going to happen. Like, how could this progress into something completely different?"
Yeah. I mean, I personally, if the option was between me going to war and opening a tea shop, I think I would be happier in the
I'll
tea
take.
shop.
I'm not
Like, hot
Mulan.
take.
I can't. I can't fight. I'm sorry. I'm laying down my sword and walking away. I can't do it.
Yeah, but I mean that sounds really interesting. I feel like Stardew Valley perfected the farming sim. So
It really
now
did. Yeah.
now with it has made cozy games an actual just like genre, right?
It
Like
really did.
um and I'm very interested now with like, I think of games like Cult of the Lamb
Mhm.
and Turnip Boy commits tax evasion.
Which you
Like,
played, didn't you?
oh yeah, great
I was
game.
gonna say, okay, okay.
Uh,
You finished
uh,
it?
yeah,
Okay, I wasn't
yeah.
sure.
Um, it's like a 2 hour game.
Oh, okay.
Worth it if you can get it on sale, but great, 2 hour game. And I feel like cozy game developers now are kind of expanding beyond the like Animal Crossing like
Mhm.
clone Stardew Valley clone slash Harvest Moon clone,
Yep.
to like. So I'll be interested to see how Wonder Shop is, if it's just
Mhm.
like, you know
A
uh,
typical farming
mhm,
sim, or if they're gonna
mhm,
I think they definitely drew people in, like I said, with the ability or the idea of like, oh, it's another farming sim. And I think a lot of people love those. I do. But
sure.
I also get like the want for something different because it's like, okay, am I just playing Stardew in another form of
Mhm,
sorts? And that's kind of what I'm doing right now because I'm also playing a game called Coral Island, which is basically the same game reincarnated. It's just slightly different.
mhm,
So with Wonder Stop, like I'm wondering like if they're trying to make it appease kind of two crowds. Like you want something cozy, but you want something that is slightly different, slightly more, maybe a bigger story with maybe some fighting, so you kind of like get this beautiful marriage in between, which I would be very interested in. I think that that's kind of interesting to have, you know, something cozy but something where you have a little bit of a fight and some problem solving to go through.
Mhm.
And then the last one that I saw, which I to my understanding, I think this game might have been in development for a while, because when I originally looked it up, it came up for 2023, but they
Mm.
just also like previewed it the other day, which is Fantastic Haven. I have been playing World of Warcraft since I was like 12. Okay.
Yeah.
They showed this and I went, oh my God, they made World of Warcraft cozy. What is happening? There were so many things about that the art style looked very similar. There's like these little rock
Mm.
figures that were walking around. And I'm like, oh my God, I've seen those guys before. Like, and just the mages, the way they talked and everything felt very World of
Is
Warcrafty
it an
in a
MMO?
sense. It's not. It just
Okay.
like a lot of the art just seemed very similar. It's more of like it's a bunch of mages that what
Mm.
you're doing is you are protecting and growing magical creatures.
Right.
But just the way, and I think it's kind of like a farming sim in a sense of like you're building like a town, you're building this like kind of like farm situation where you can breed and help all these animals. It looked really, really cute. Just my first like, if I can find like a side by side, I'll put one up and show y'all.
Sure.
Um, the art style just felt very like World of Warcraft. I was like, wow, this seems like the same thing. But yeah, you're taking all care of like all these magical creatures. So you have like, I don't know, these big ass birds and these little animals and stuff like that. Um, but it seemed very interesting. I'll be interested to see what happens with it once they're actually done. Like I said, when I originally looked it up, it said 2023. So I'm wondering if it's something they've been working on for a while and
Maybe
how it's
it's in
gonna.
early access.
It could be. It really could be. So yeah, that was kind of the extent of the Summer Game Fest that I looked at. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if you take a peek. I know you looked at some of the games that I had sent, but I kind of also
I
sprung it on you kind of late last night, being like, "This is what I've been looking at."
Yeah, yeah. It was like 10 o'clock my time, 10:30 my time.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with my wife, and I was like, I'll be right back. Yeah. I mean, I think I was drawn to a lot of the same stuff that you were.
Mhm.
Star Wars Outlaws looks pretty cool. Horizon Lego looks cool. The only one that I had on my list that you didn't mention, did you ever play Hyperlight Drifter?
No.
It was like an indie game with a really cool, like pixelated 2D art style.
Mhm.
Really great combat and controls. It felt a little bit Zelda-y,
Mhm.
um, but certainly in a more of like a dystopian science fiction future. Um, well, their sequel to Hyperlight Drifter, Hyperlight Breaker, is coming out, and it's like in 3D.
Huh.
So I want to check it out.
Was it more of like a
But
story-based game?
Uh, no, it's very story light. It
Okay,
was
okay.
just kind of an open exploration world.
Okay.
I'm not sold on the 3D art in the game,
Uh-huh.
but because I like Hyperlight Drifter, I'm like intrigued, and I'll probably check it out.
Mhm.
Um, but it will probably I don't have the highest of hopes. I feel like sometimes it's okay to just be a 2D game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Even
it's
if that means 10
okay.
years later, like, you could just keep the same art style and be okay.
Yeah, I don't think Hollow Knight needs to go 3D. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
it just doesn't. But I feel like marketing wise, people are always like, "Oh, I want it to be 3D and open world,"
Bigger
and
and better.
it's like I'm like, no, actually, sometimes a smaller, you know, uh, package is better.
Mhm.
So it's just
Especially sometimes when you're like, "I just need something simple. I don't want to go explore every nook and cranny of everything." Like, if I could just have one, like, solid line of game, like, I'll be okay.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So yeah, that was Summer Games Fest for me. It was just basically the games that we already talked about, and then I thought Hyperlight Breaker looked intriguing.
Yeah, and like I said, these are just a very few takeaways that I had
Yeah.
from a very quick glance. So, like I said, it aired I think the day before yesterday. So if you're listening to this and you're going, none of those games strike my fancy, I would urge you to go look at it. It was, I mean, it was a long thing. I just kind of scrolled through some of the stuff on YouTube that I saw. So it's there if you guys are interested. Let us know what you guys are also excited about, or what you guys wanting to see. I normally am excited for Nintendo ones because that's just because I'm always hoping that there's going to be some kind of Zelda news, but I highly doubt that's coming anytime soon since we just got Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So to close up our first episode, I do have, I think last time with our meet us episode that we did, I talked about how I got these really cool cards. So I wanted to show you guys since last time. And if you're not, some of this you'll be able to see, some of it you guys cannot. However, I might put this out there just because I think this is the coolest little case for trivia cards I've ever seen. It looks like an old, I don't know, freaking Nintendo like Game Boy, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But there are like 200 cards in here and they all have 2 questions on them. So this is how we've been wrapping up episodes, is with some trivia questions.
Mm.
So I have them. I try not to see the answer. So I kind of like have to hold it like this. But yeah. It says, in which year was popular game Snake first available on the Nokia phones, specifically on the Nokia 6110? Interesting. 6110? Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know.
trying to think of when my mom had a Nokia and when I used to play Snake. Did you play Snake?
No, my mom had a BlackBerry, so I played. We had
Uh,
the one like brick, no, brick
with the
or whatever. With
ball?
like the ball and like
Uh-huh.
bounce, and
Uh-huh.
that's
Do you
yeah.
know what Snake is
Because
though?
yes, I know
Okay.
what Snake is.
I was gonna be
I
shook if
actually
you didn't, but
I actually I remember there's a guy that he used to do like I think he used to do like TikTok lives of him playing Snake.
oh.
And I used to watch those TikTok lives all the time of just him like playing. I think it was like like the Google Snake or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and he would get to the end, and he had a whole system.
I don't know if you can do it anymore, but I remember for a long time, like on YouTube, when it was buffering, if you clicked something, you could play Snake while it like loaded. And that could be a really old
Really?
thing because I feel like nowadays, like YouTube doesn't really buffer anymore. But I do remember, I'm pretty sure it was on YouTube, like it would buffer. And if you clicked something, you
Mm,
could make the like loading symbol like move and you could go
right,
basically play loading Snake. I'm
right.
going to guess like 97.
I'm gonna guess 2002.
Oh, 98.
Oh, let's
I was
go.
younger. I remember
Right,
having my mom having a Nokia. I remember it was so funny because it was like the long, it's like a long one. And I remember my mom had there's like these plates that you could put over it and pop them off so you could
right.
make them like
Yeah, yeah,
change
yeah.
different colors. My mom had a silver one and this really like sparkly burgundy kind of color that I remember being
Yeah.
like, this is beautiful. All right, second one on there. Originally named Jumpman, in which 1981 game did Mario
Donkey
first
Kong.
appear? I don't know.
It was
Yeah,
Donkey
is it
Kong.
Donkey Kong?
It was
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
Hey, damn.
I didn't
Originally
even need the
named
rest of the question.
Jumpman. Really?
Yeah, it was his original name. And was it Pauline was the who he was saving originally?
Really? I don't know. I don't know my Donkey Kong lore. Apparently, I had no
Okay.
idea. That is so interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, learn something new every day, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but this
Lizzie,
is, yeah. Go ahead.
where can people find us?
Yeah. Um, so we are going to be most of these episodes, just so you guys know. I know I was talking as if you guys can see us. Most likely these, it's a conversation that we still need to have, but most of these probably will not be full episodes up for you guys to watch all the time. This is going to be a lot of stuff so you guys can find us with clips in different places. So if you're wanting to just listen, from now on, you guys can find us on Apple and Spotify. If you guys are interested in seeing some of the goofy clips that we'll be putting up and wanting to see what we look like and just some of the randomness that will be on TikTok and YouTube clips, and of course, Instagram. All of which I will be posting on Instagram here shortly. I'll be completely honest, the YouTube and TikTok have not been made, and we are not the only still loading podcast, guys. I realized the other day, yep, minor hiccup in the name here. We are not the only one.
Oh
We're the
no.
only one that matters, though. Okay. So if you're looking for us on Instagram to, because that will probably be our main source of, letting you guys kind of know what's going on. You guys could see behind the scenes stuff. We are the Still Loading Pod on Instagram. Most likely that's where you will also be able to find us on TikTok and YouTube. But if you guys are wanting to listen, I would highly suggest going and finding us on Apple Music and Spotify, signing up for notifications, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, we will hopefully be getting out some more episodes. Like I said, you'll be able to listen to our very first episode, which is this one, and the Meet Us episode, which will go up right before this one if you guys are interested in learning more about us and our personal lives. But yeah, keep up with the socials. That's where we will be posting most of our stuff, especially the Instagram, where I'll post like when new episodes are going up and where you can find them. But we appreciate you guys listening along. And yeah, hopefully we'll be hearing from you guys soon.